What's going on, guys? Marty here with another review. And today, we're stepping back from the intense medieval combat games. A weekend playing Chivalry has made me feel like a Fortnite kid jacked up on G Fuel. Woo! So when the guys at Goblin Studios offered me a key to play their new dungeon management roguelike game, Legend of Keepers, it could not have come at a better time. Also, just want to say, nobody's crossed my palms with gold or silver or offered me a new Tesla for this review, so as always, it will remain unbiased. Before we get into this, I do want to say a couple of days ago, I did my first YouTube live stream. So I played some Bannerlords and Path of Exile. And I'm planning to do more actually, but I'm not sure what the best way is to let you all know when they are. You can turn notifications on if you want to be notified when the videos come out, or you can join the Discord, which will be linked below, because I always post there when I'm going live. Or you can just check out the VODs when they come available if you want to watch them after they're live. But yeah, we did like 3 hours yesterday. I wasn't sure how to announce it. I put the video up like the day before to let people know. But yeah, I know a lot of people probably missed it. So let me know if there's a better way you think I should do that. Or you can join the Discord or put notifications on. Up to you, whatever you want to do. Anyway, so Legend of Keepers is a game where you work for a dungeon corporation tasked with defending the company's assets, basically being their big hoard of treasure. If you've played a pathing-style roguelike, you'll be familiar with the basis of this anyway. Darkest Dungeon, Slay the Spire, Monster Train, I'm literally going down my Steam library, to name a few that I've played. I'm sure you've played others because there are a lot in this genre now. The game was developed by Goblin Studios and published by Goblins Publishing with a Z. It's released into early access on Steam, and it had its 1.0 release, I think on the 29th of April, and I'm recording this on the 30th of April. So the game's like 16 British pounds, and there's a 10% off if you buy it before the 6th of May, so you can get it super cheap right now. If you've played any sort of roguelike, you're going to be pretty familiar with the game. It plays out over increasing difficulties with progression between runs as you path through multiple areas, making choices, upgrading your character, and facing stronger and stronger monsters. Once you pick an area, you've got a certain amount of days until you're attacked by a champion party, you being the group of monsters defending the dungeon. Attacked by heroes being, the good guys. You play as the bad guys. You need to spend the days recruiting, leveling new monsters, buying traps, upgrading traps, managing the needs of your monsters, managing multiple resources, and dealing with events, including fighting multiple waves of smaller parties that try and take on your dungeon before the final champion party comes on the last day. So that's the gameplay. There's basically two, I don't know what you call them, gameplay loops that you take part in outside of the dungeon and then inside of the dungeon. So I'll go over the overall management side first, where you've got to manage these week on week, kind of plays like the old Flash games that you used to play. I'm old. So yeah, you have to manage the needs of this corporate monster business and your monsters and take on all the random events. So first I want to go over the random events because they're quite shocking here. A few examples I want to cover. You can be offers to purchase and upgrade monsters and traps. You can send monsters away for like corporate training where they level up, but you lose access to them for like a few weeks. There's events where people come to buy your monsters for cash. There's business trips where you can send your monsters away for reward. Sieges, raids, where you can get like lucrative rewards, but there's a risk. Doctors and therapists to heal your troops. Basically, it really surprised me how much of a simulation this is. There's so much to do here. I've played a ton of these games, and after an hour, I'd see the same events just coming around again and again. I recently covered Neurodeck on this channel, and I think I saw the same event like 5 times during my review. But they've done a good job here with having a huge mix of events on a good cycle, that when you do see them again, you go, hey, that's you. Like there's this one where like this guy comes and offers you something like quite obscure. And I didn't have the thing for it at the time. And then like 3 hours go by, I never saw this guy. And then I saw him again and I was like, hey, this is the guy. I've actually got the item I need for it now. And it's really refreshing because you actually appreciate the events more, that you're not getting them every single run. The only issue I think I came across is sometimes the events wouldn't be optimized to your situation. So let's say you've got 0 gold. You could get an option of 3 events that all require gold. If you can't do anything, you've got to bypass that entire week. Other ones where I played the game for like 20 minutes progressing, and through that whole 20 minutes, I never got offered a new monster. So I was like, my monster's getting injured, I had nothing to replace them with, and I had to quit. So yeah, they do need to maybe optimize there. I don't know, is that just RNG? Is that just bad luck that's supposed to happen, or a bug? I don't know. Maybe it's intended punishment for not playing well enough and keeping my monsters alive. I don't know. Other playthroughs, I've had 30 monsters. So yeah, could be intended, could be something they need to work on, but That's literally the only flaw. Outside of this, the events are stunning. The other things that you have to look out for are your resources. So you've got gold, which comes from selling or renting out your monsters or beating enemies, like waves of the heroes that attack your dungeon, sieges, random events, things like that. And then you can spend them on upgrades, training, that kind of thing. And then you've got these other two resources, blood, and then I think it's called fear. I really don't know. It's like red and blue anyway. Blood is earned from killing the monsters in the dungeon. I've seen some pretty cool events. One where like a vampire comes, and you have a hero, like your main hero, and he wants to basically drain your blood for gold, and you have to do it. So you can do that, or if you've got a pool of blood that you've collected from these heroes, you can use that in exchange. I thought that was really cool. There's loads of little events like that happen. And then your other one is, it's blue, I think it's called Fear, I should probably have looked it up, or Souls or something. And basically, when you're in the dungeon, instead of killing the enemy, you can reduce their morale to 0 and they run away. And then instead of getting blood, you get the fear. Let's call it fear. Fear souls, I don't know. So yeah, they're the two resources you have to manage, and there's different things you can buy and you can trade them and all this stuff. And they have their own events that need that resource. So with all this talk, I think it's time to talk about the main gameplay loop that you're going to be doing. You're going to be managing and doing all this, and then scattered throughout that, maybe like every 5 minutes, you'll be going into a dungeon. So you'll randomly be attacked. So sorry, no, you'll regularly be attacked. I don't know how long, maybe every 4 events is a dungeon. And you can choose if you want to face recruits, veterans, or champions. Depending on who you face, depends on what you get. So for example, maybe the recruits will give you a little bit of gold and a new trap. The veterans might give you an artifact, but then fighting like the best people might give you a champion unit. So you have to decide, do you have the right fit and able party to take on a really hard troop at that time? Or are your party injured or away on business trips, shit like that? So you have to sacrifice that and fight someone quite easy. It reminds me of a lot of like Slay the Spire. Like, do you go and fight all the rares to get all the relics? Or do you not have the health to take them on, that it's not worth the risk? So you fight a little monster instead. And yeah, that's where the management really comes into play. Because in the final week, you have to fight the big champion. And you really, really get tested here by, are you prepared for each fight? Because every fight is different, every hero is different. So do you have the right traps to take out the enemies? Let's say there's like a huge tank with 1,000 health, but he's got really low morale. Do you have monsters that can fear him into leaving and running away? Maybe there's a mage at the back. There's 3 slots, like front, middle, and back. Maybe there's a mage at the back that's got low health. You have an archer or a rogue that can take them out. Or maybe you've got a trap that can take someone out of the back. Things like that. And it's all situational. So in the dungeons, there's a few things I want to say. Firstly, the monsters. There are so many monsters, like tons of monster varieties. I've played through 3 of the main worlds now, and I've only seen the same monsters a few times. And there's a few, and you recognize them and you go, yes, I remember him. He was amazing. I want him again. But then you're going to be getting different ones. They've got like different, what would you call it, categories. So like demons, skeletons, things like that. And there's some you're going to recognize, but there are a lot of new varieties you play through that'll always keep it fresh. Until you've played it for, I think I've played about 4 or 5 hours now, and I'm starting to recognize troops, know what I want, know what's good. But there's not like 10 monsters. You're really going to have time to collect, understand, and it's going to last you a long time before you get bored of them. It's almost overwhelming at first, but yeah, on top of that, you also have the champion rare monsters, which I touched on. I haven't had many of these, but a few examples I could give is like there's this vampire that can put on tons of bleed damage, obviously because he's a vampire. I got this one guy who was a necromancer, and his special ability was like whenever a monster dies, he would resurrect that monster as a skeleton, which was crazy powerful. And then there's also these intern monsters. So like I say, this is run like a business. That's the premise of the game. And once you get further into the game, like I think second world, you can get promoted. And when you get promoted, you can pick an intern who works for you. And he's like a super strong boss monster. He's got his own room, and he's like a raid boss. Like they all have to fight together to take him down. Super, super cool, really fun. I'm ranting here. I could talk about the different monsters and heroes combos I've tried, but the video would just be too long. Like I'm hitting 10 minutes and I've not even got onto what I want to talk about. If you take nothing else from this video, the monster design, combat, variety, that gameplay is stunning. That is the main reason I will be recommending people to buy this game. It's I don't want to say perfect, but it is up there. It's really, really good. It's so much better than I was expecting, and the game deserves so much more hype considering how good this is. And then on top of all the fighting, the other part is the rooms. So each dungeon encounter, you've got these rooms that the heroes have to go through. There'd be like 2 monster rooms that you fill with your monsters. You could take 6 in. Well, you could take 3 per room. There's like 2 rooms. So you can take 6 fit and able monsters. Your monsters will need to rest after fighting, very similar to like Darkest Dungeon. And yeah, you can fill 2 rooms with monsters. So you can kind of strategically pick groups of monsters that work well together. So for example, one monster that lowers heroes fire resistance, and then another one that deals fire damage, you know, on a simple level like that. Then you've got 2 trap rooms that you put your traps in, and then the final room is your main character, the one you level up, the one that you know, the one that represents you, and he's the last line of defense in the treasure room. He's super powerful and he can beat the heroes himself, but his health is finite, so when it goes, he's dead and you lose. So you've got to get them down as much as you can before they get to this final room, or you've got to kill them before they get there. That's kind of a plan. And the layout of the rooms can change as you progress, such as, I'll tell you, when you get promoted, you get the intern room, which is like your mini boss room where you can put your guy. There's other things, but I don't want to spoil it if you're thinking of getting the game. I don't want to tell you all the different things that you unlock in the later parts of the game. And yeah, this randomness really scratches that roguelike itch. How I've talked about the minions, I've already said the combat is top notch, and that's because of this room gameplay. You know you've got a trap room coming up that doubles poison. In your first room, fill it with monsters that can do a lot of poison and increase debuffs, things like that. Really cool. Overall, I think I want to wrap it up. It's getting really long. My review of Legend of Keepers, again, not sponsored. If it was, I'd have to put a little sponsorship thing somewhere. So yeah, this is my honest opinion. I love this game. This is a game I'd never heard of. I had zero hype for. It's absolutely blown me away, really. First time I played it, I played for 5 hours solid. The game is currently minimized as I'm recording this, and as soon as I put this video into export, I'm going to play through it again. The game's less than £20. If you like roguelike games, don't miss this one, honestly. I rarely recommend it wholeheartedly, but I am today. There's a lot of roguelikes that get released, and I'm a big fan. I buy them all. They're normally an indie price. They're normally like £15, £20. So I buy them straight away. And they've got all the systems of the roguelike genre, but they don't normally grip me. I do like 10, 20 hours, and I never play them again. This one massively does. It scratches that itch. It's really fun, and it's addictive. So I'm going to give my pros and cons below. All around best part, monsters, combat, tons of variety, super challenging, and making builds feels amazing. I've just finished a run where I focused solely on like scaring the enemies, so using like demoralizing traps, wraiths, fear monsters, and I wiped out the final boss so easy, just scared him straight out by the second monster room. And next I want to try like a bleed poison build run. I love the whole intern and champions thing of having super monsters that do things for you. The gameplay loop of managing things outside the dungeon's really cool. Loads of variety to the events. The gameplay's smooth. You can speed it up as well. So I had mine on like 3x speed. So you don't have to watch all the animations. You can just blast through. There's a ton of replayability too. Each run, you start in a different place, like a different world. So you have like different monsters that you start with, artifacts, things like that. Flaws. I personally don't care for the whole monster corporation thing. It feels a little too like cringe to me. I'd rather they took the serious approach with it, like Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, not for me. I just play it for the gameplay. The story hasn't gripped me at all. There's not really a story, it's a roguelike. But you know, the setting hasn't gripped me. Another con, the story is quite short. There's only, I think, 5 worlds. So once you've played through those 5 worlds, that's kind of the main mapping done. There is an end game mode, so there's like an endless mode and there's like an ascension mode. So there is some further progression where the game does get more difficult, thankfully. The only other thing I'd like is more craziness. So there's like 5 artifact slots. I wish you could just have as many as you want. You only get offered minions when it lets you, and the choice is quite low. I wish I could pick my own so I could just take these really crazy paths I want to take with these crazy builds, but it is quite limited. Yeah, for cons, I'm really clutching because I really like the game and I fully recommend it. So it's hard to find flaws in the game other than the setting. So yeah, that's it, guys. A really positive and happy review, which is good to do. Don't get many where I can just say, this is really good, go get it if you like roguelikes. But yeah, positive review. If you've watched the video all the way to the end and you're not subscribed, YouTube will have already dug its claws into you and you'll be seeing me again in your recommended, I'm sure. So if you like the video, you may as well subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. You can also like the video. That helps me out a lot. If you don't like the video, make sure to let me know in the comments what's wrong. What could we do better here? If you don't like the game, also let me know. It's not for everyone. If you do and you're going to get it, again, let me know. Let's have a discussion at the bottom. How does this, if you've played it, how does this compare to other roguelikes? For me, it's similar enough that it feels comfortable and it's got the same loops that get me hooked, but it's different enough that I'm throwing all my time into it. But I haven't played all of the roguelikes, so it might be dead similar to another one. It's very similar to, what's it called? Monster Train? It reminds me a little bit of that. I should have really stuck to a script. I've really rambled here. Although I'm going to end it here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Take care. And I'll catch you in the next one. Might even catch you in a YouTube live at the end of the week, maybe. Who knows? Thanks. Bye.